Start then. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devils podcast. We are here with the match reaction. Manchester United just beat AZ Alkmaar 4-0 in the Europa League game, and that means they finish on top of the group and will go on to get a better seed in the next round. Lots and lots of stuff to talk about. I think where we should start, obviously I'm joined by Shawnee and Rita once again. I think where we should start is with the team selection, because I wasn't really sure how to feel about the team selection coming into the game. Obviously, I'm very happy with the result. But yeah, loads to talk about team selection. What's your guys' thoughts?
I was pretty accurate. I was bar two players. Martial, I didn't expect to play. I thought Matic was injured, and I kind of wish he wasn't available for today's game because man had a nightmare today.
Agreed. Man was like a fridge with cement attached to his boots. Really, really poor. And Rita, what did you make of the team selection, bruv?
To be honest, I hated it. Like, when I just saw it, I hated it. But I can understand why he did that, because Matt needs playing time, Matt needs playing time, Young needs playing time. Yeah, but especially first half, they were quite poor, especially Matic. It was horrible.
Look, I think what stood out to me about this team selection and how the game played out is, to me, in some weird, twisted way, Ollie's failure worked out, because he picked a mixture of experience and youth, right, in this game, but all the experienced players seem to have played poorly. And I think that's a bit unfair on Mata, because he did have a good second half. But in the first half, he just wasn't there, bro. Matic was terrible throughout the game. His first touch wasn't there. His passes weren't going through. And even some passes where I thought, oh, okay, this is a good ball from Matic. Oh, I'm wrong. It's rolling past the touchline for a goal kick. Again, it's just, I don't know. Or it was a back pass to the back four. I didn't like the team selection either, if I'm being completely honest. But the young players pulled through. So yeah. I guess that's all that really mattered. What do you guys think of how we set up and how we played? Because, obviously, that first half was atrocious, and the second half things started to pick up. How much of the result do you think has to do with how we set up and how we played tactically?
Well, it's Ollie's plan A, isn't it, from the get-go? If you looked at the first half, I would say we were playing with 8 men. Mata, Matic, and Young were just like, they weren't there. I would say we were playing with 8 men. Second half was a lot better. Matic was still doing his own thing, drifting at the back, running forward, but it looks like he's going backwards. He's just so slow. I'm done. Matic needs to get out of United as soon as possible. I can't stand him. He annoys me.
Yeah, but you know what it is with Matic, and sorry to cut you off, but like, I feel like with Matic, it's like he has nothing to offer anymore, It's one thing being slow, but, a lot of people take shots at Mata for being slow, but look what he did in that second half, bro. Like, that's just intelligence. That's football IQ that you can't buy, it's something that comes with experience. And I think with Matic, the reason why I'm done with him and why I'm pissed with him is because he has nothing else to offer. Like, he doesn't have a first touch. He doesn't have agility, so he's not really mobile around the park, and he can't move. Like, if you pass Matic, if you give Matic a bit of a panic pass, and there's someone right behind him, he's screwed, because he can't turn, he can't dribble, he can't do anything. It feels
man is whooping these 100-kilometer-hour balls across the field to freaking young Brandon Williams now for some god first touch, man. Matic.
It's crazy, man. I feel like Matic he's lost it, man. He's lost it. And the time that he's taken out being injured, I feel like he's gotten worse in terms of his other attributes. And it's almost like he's just, I don't know. It's non-existent, dog. And I don't want to go in on James Garner, but I feel like the midfield park as a whole lacked any sort of unity and presence in that first half. It was the back four passing between each other, legit, the whole half, and then like one long ball every now and then from Matic, Romero, or Maguire down to the wings, or Ashley Young with his little cameo runs, but nothing on the end of it. It was very strange. So, tactically for Ole, we feel like we're still in the same place, I'm guessing. What do
Yeah,
you guys think?
I think he win the
Yeah.
same place. But one thing I will give Oli today is that I'm extremely happy that he, for once in his life, he made subs early on. He made subs 60 minute and then like 61st minute, I think it was. But I was really happy with that, and I think it was good that Rashford and all the other like Wan Bissaka and them didn't play at all today. So it's a good rest for Everton on Sunday.
Yeah, look, the risk paid off. But when I looked at that team sheet, I didn't know. I didn't want to bank on the risk paying off. I think we all knew United, or well, we all thought United was going to win today, but I don't think anybody can play the I told you so card, because the way it happened had very little to do with Ollie's team selection. It was just moments of individual brilliance. I mean, Pereira on the corner.
Pereira looked like a Ronaldinho today, fam.
Yeah. Wow, in the second half.
Yeah, the second half.
Numbers.
To be honest, I feel like the tactics were a mixed bag. I feel like the first half we saw the dangers of having a one-dimensional tactic, because he was trying to play the same counter-attacking game he played against Man City, one touch and get forward quickly, but he just didn't have the players on the pitch to do that. So it was very poor because we weren't threatening whatsoever. If we kept playing like that, we were going to lose that game. But what happened in the second half is encouraging, because I feel like for the first time we kind of saw a plan B from Ole, because we held the ball, which was inevitably going to happen, because if we kept playing like that, they were going to score. We held the ball, we moved the ball around. It wasn't the most creative, but then because we were pushing and pushing and pushing, and the team is of low quality, we eventually broke through. So I feel like it was a mixed bag.
Look, I want to give Ole the benefit of the doubt. And, obviously there was a clear change in our second half compared to the first half, because we did hold the ball more. You're right. We did create more chances. But a small part of me feels like it's individual brilliance, man. Like the penalty that Greenwood won, that's Greenwood. That's all Greenwood running into the box. The freaking turn from Pereira and the interplay between him and Mata, that's you can't like that. You can't tell me Ole set up that drill in training. Okay. And maybe he did. Who am I to say that he didn't? But like, I feel like there was just moments of individual brilliance. And I feel like, yes, Ole did have a hand to play in it. I'll give him this. I think he said something to them at halftime. And he was like, gents, come on. We got to go on and win this game. Because we looked like the away team in that first half. And then in the second half, back to being the home team. So, yeah. I think it's, I don't know. I don't want to go in on Ole too much, because obviously it's a positive result and we've got to be a bit positive. We can't be too negative. I mean, we did win 4-0.
Yeah. I feel like...
Sorry.
I feel like we have to give him credit. He definitely told them to change the playing style, because in the second half, AZ couldn't get the ball. They were out of the game for the most... Not the whole second half. Towards the end, they came back. But for the first 20 minutes, they were completely out of the game. And because of that, we bombarded them, and eventually we scored. So we have to give him that. First half tactics were horrible, but we have to give him the fact that he did change something.
I feel so sorry for their manager, though. He was probably scratching his head like, how am I 4-0 down after such a good first half? 10 minutes of brilliance. What I want to ask you guys next is, what does this result mean to you guys personally as fans of the club? What does it mean to you? How big of a result is this? Does it change your opinions of Oli at all, even if it's just a small amount? What are you guys feeling, and what does this result mean to you?
Well, I think it's positive. We've been crying out to continue our form, and he's done that today, so fair enough. In terms of Oli, my opinion on him, for the long term, doesn't really change much, but what I am happy to say is at least he kept up the form. Hopefully he's still trying to build. I hope he proves me wrong. He's a legend of the club. I don't want him to fail. But let's just hope he builds along with this team. Because the first goal, you just can't write it. That's football. Freaking Matic to Mata to Ashley Young, who scored. 3 worst players, and they got the first goal. And I was like, that's just football for you. But and what Pereira did in the build-up there was that was something special.
Pereira was amazing, but I can't believe Young hit that. When Young hit that shot, I was like, oh my God, we actually gave away the chance. And then I saw him celebrating. I was like, wait, what? He scored that? I couldn't believe it.
Young is there. Yeah, so I give him a next 5-year contract. Thank you.
Like, to be fair,
He does-
Pereira was quite poor. I feel like those two passes are the only brilliant things in the game. But in terms of the whole game, he was quite poor. He was non-existent.
Look, Pereira was poor, but what I saw from Pereira today makes me a little bit more optimistic and a bit more of a believer in his talent and his potential as a young player. Because yes, for a lot of the game, Pereira was poor, but he's an attacking player. We've seen this with Daniel James. We've seen this with Marcus Rashford. We've seen this with Martial. Pereira doesn't have to play well for 90 minutes. He just has to have little moments of individual brilliance where he comes up with creative ways of breaking the opposition down. That's what I saw from Pereira, and to me, that's the job of a prolific winger. You know, Manchester United, for the longest of times, we've been complaining about the same thing. No consistency, no creativity. Pereira brought that today. Yeah, sure, he hasn't been consistent, but he brought that today. He brought the flair. He brought the Brazilian samba, the Brazilian
Today
spice.
was the first day I've ever seen Pereira put Brazilian flair into a pitch. Even if it was a little bit, that's the first day I've ever seen.
And I will say this, some of his shots were head scratches, and some of the things he did were head scratches. But I'm glad to see that the guy's trying and he's still confident in his ability, rather than just, passing it to the side and laying it off and giving someone else the responsibility. He's like, no, I want to try. I back myself against these defenders. And I like that. I like to see that in young. And again, attacking players don't need to be there the whole night. Like even Martial, I think Martial was non-existent in the first half, but in the second half, he had that one period where he got a shot. And if he had scored that, Martial would have had a good game, but it was just one, in the entire he was on. Obviously, he didn't score. But that's the thing about attacking.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I still don't know what position Pereira plays. What's his best position?
Yeah, today I don't know where he was playing. It looked like he came more central in the second half.
Yeah. To be honest, I feel like this is my opinion. I feel like he needs a year in the championship, honestly. I feel like he's not ready. He's not ready. Because I don't know what position. I think a year in the championship will do him good.
You know what I think about Pereira? And this might sound extremely naive. What I saw from him today, and obviously, like you said, he's not ready. He needs to go develop as a footballer, whatever. I think Herrera is, for me, Pereira, sorry. I don't know why I said Herrera. Pereira, for me, I think he's the kind of player that you put on the team sheet, and the formation doesn't really matter too much, but you give him freedom to do what he wants. And you hope that these little moments of individual brilliance will go on to help the team, kind of like what Rashford's doing at the moment. We know Rashford plays on the left, but Rashford can do what he wants, realistically, especially on the break. He can do what he wants. He can run at defenders. I'm pretty sure that's what Ollie wants to see from Rashford. He wants to see, he even said it himself in a post-match press conference. He said, it's good to see the lads and guys like Rashford going at the defenders, taking them on. It's exciting stuff. And I think that's what Ollie wants. And I think that's what's best. For some players, you just got to give them the freedom. And you got to rely on their talent because that's why they're in the team. And that's what I feel. So I would like to see him playing on the wing a bit more. But I agree with you. He's not ready. He's just not ready. Those moments of individual brilliance don't justify him being in the team long term. Maybe he can play 1 or 2 more games. But he's still not. He's still not consistent.
Tell you one man who is stepping up to the plate though. Freaking man like RVP, Mason Greenwood. Hey!
Yeah, it was amazing.
Wonder of the left foot, that guy. Oh my god.
We got a talent there.
Yep.
Proper talent.
We'll get on to the player ratings of the man of the match in a bit, but I think Greenwood's going to be a big talking point there. I just want to say before we move on that for me, I'm very happy as a fan to see Manchester United get a win against pretty much look, AZ Alkmaar are one of the biggest teams in Netherlands or in the Dutch, wherever they're from, but they're pretty much a no-name team to most people. And it's good to see us go against a small team and actually win and not just drop off the the Spurs and the City result. And also it's just a few days after as well. So, obviously we want to see this continue into Everton and Watford, but I think this is a huge positive, especially considering that we didn't even play our strongest team. We played Matic in the middle of the park and we still won somehow.
4-0 even.
4-0, bro. We didn't just 4-0. Everyone was being safe with their predictions, like 2-0, because 3-1, 3-1, 2-0, same cock, different smell. There's 2 goals difference between the two, so
Yeah.
I don't think
But
anybody can say they expected us to dominate like that on the scoreboard.
But overall, this is it's a positive result. I think, for the young guys like Greenwood, Williams, all of them, this will do them confidence good, and it just keeps the positivity flowing in. And I'm really happy that Ollie made early substitutions. I think that after 2-0, he went and he was like, I'm not going to risk it anymore. Took off Martial, took off Maguire, took off Young. And it was like, let's just bring it home.
I love that too, man. It was affirmative. That's the first time I think Ollie's made changes and we could actually go like, this makes sense. Like we all agree. And even if we don't all agree, but they make sense. Like they make sense. I think it was pretty interesting to see Martial come off at the hour mark. I think that was the plan, really. But I didn't expect that. I thought Martial was going to play the full game. I thought, and when I saw Phil Jones coming on, I was like,
boy, so every United fan was there. Like, here it is, pink boots. Here we go.
Yeah, but hey, they won't get me wrong. I think now we move on to the more exciting part. You guys want to do some play ratings, position by position?
Yeah, sure.
Starting in goal, Romero. What do you guys think of Romero out of 10?
I mean, he didn't have much to do really, but kept the clean sheet at the end of the day. I mean, solid 7.
Yeah.
I think I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. He always gives a clean performance. He's a really good keeper. So I didn't put a foot wrong. I also give him a 7.
Listen, mate, that save that he made in the second half. Yeah. I don't know who the 7 for that other team was, but that save he made in the second half, and he if you look at that save and you look at his footwork, the way he was able to shift his body weight, because he was initially going right and then he turned left.
Romero is a very decent second keeper also. People
you can
have
see
him at their first. Yeah.
Okay, right back, Ashley Young.
I mean,
what do you make?
Man got a goal, he got a clean sheet, he's smiling, he's going home, he's like, give me a 5-year contract, please respect my name. But like, come on, like, I want to give him a 7 because he kept a clean sheet and scored a goal. But first half, first half.
7. I think we have to be fair. We have to give credit where credit's due because, so first half the whole team was shit, right? But I think the back four didn't really do much wrong in the first half, if I'm being completely honest. The only thing I would fault Young for was that one shot that team got off on the right side where it's like him and I don't know who else was behind him. We're just marshalling the guy.
We basically just passed it straight to him. I was like, wait, what? What do you think, boy?
Yeah. But I don't think Ashley Young did much wrong, though. I think
he did what he had to.
Like a 6.5 bordering towards is fair. I think that's fair because he did a lot of work going forward as well for the team. Considering how bad the team was, like he did create that chance of Meta as well. I don't know what you guys think.
That's true, and yes, I'll give him the chance. But and he scored a goal, so I say 6 because 6 is average, right? But
6,
I feel like he works hard, but then he doesn't do much.
No, you know what it is. It's just the way all of us feel about Young. It's just like poor my guy. Yeah, you scored, but like ish.
So I can't give him a 7 because I feel like it was quite an average performance.
I mean, it is all about opinion.
I think I'm 6.5. I think a 6.5 is fair.
Yeah.
6.5. Okay. Axel. 1-0.
It felt like he was also, I didn't have really much to do. He did what he had to. For a young player, came in, kept the clean sheet. Solid performance.
I'll be honest with you. I think he made quite a few mistakes that on another day against another team could have been costly. Like he did, so for most of the game he did play well. But if we're going to fault Young for the mistakes he made defensively, then I think we've got to be consistent with that rating. I can't give Tonzebe anything higher than a 6. I'm even thinking of giving him a 5, but he didn't play that badly. I can't give Ashley Young a 6 and then not give Tonzebe a 6, but I can't give him more than a 6 either because I think he made a lot of mistakes, and on another day, I think they would have cost us severely. Yeah. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I think it was a decent game. It wasn't his best game, but it wasn't a horrible game at the same time. So I would say 6.
6 is good.
You also going with the 6, Sean?
Yeah. I mean, he didn't really, he didn't stand out, but he did keep
was
the
not.
clean sheet. Yeah. And he's also
That
young,
brings
so
us
fair enough.
Harry, Brexit FC, Maguire. No, I'm kidding.
Slap
Centre.
head. Yes. One day he's going to
think-
go from that corner. One day.
I think I was actually pretty impressed with his effort to get to that header. That looked like a Pez header attempt.
Hey, wait. Even
Like
the
the
dive,
actual-
everything. Curve,
He's
everything.
been trying to
Yeah.
score header.
Oh,
Oh, but like, coach, he didn't have really much also to do.
Yeah.
but I think it was solid, man. I think it was solid. I'll give him a.
I mean, I'm
Can't
tempted to give him a
Slim
7 because he kept the clean sheet. He probably held that back line,
I think
but-
giving him a 7 is fair because you can't rate him on the same level as Tonzebe, Ashley Young. Like he was a bit more solid. He didn't put a foot wrong.
Yeah.
Like he didn't put
Yeah.
a foot wrong. He deserves a
He didn't
7.
do something like disaster, like the Young pass back or something.
Yeah, and he did play well. He wasn't a standout performer, but he did play
Yeah.
well. That's what you want from your defender. You want them.
You want a 7 out of 10 performance.
Yeah. So I don't know. Rita, what you giving him?
Yeah, I think it was a solid performance. And in terms of comparing him to Tunzwebe and Young, I think he deserves a 7.
Yeah, that's a 7. Okay, this next one, this boy.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I think I'm going to be a bit
Yeah.
biased in this one. What did you guys think of
Hey, I love Brandon Williams, guys. This guy going forward, this guy going back, he's showing passion. He runs for days. He didn't put a foot wrong also. I want to give him a 7. Solid 7. 7.5, like.
I agree with the 7.5 because I think his extra work rate and just the fact that he didn't actually, I don't remember him actually making a mistake.
Yeah. And there was that one part at the end of the game where he was going forward, and I think the day captain had a little bit of a scuffle, and he just got up and he did the scumbag move, pushed him, and I was like, yes, that's what I like to see.
He was also that's the thing about Brandon Williams. If you compare him to Ashley Young, actually maybe not even Ashley Young. Compare him to any of our other fullbacks. I think going forward he has something to offer, and the little link-up plays. I think he's just got more energy, bro. He just backtracks so quickly as well. Like you won't get punished half the time for Brandon Williams going forward because he can get back.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
if he wasn't for this age, for that young age and the inexperience, if I was young and Luke Shaw boy, I'll be looking at that bench and smiling, like yeah.
Rita, what did you think of Brandon Williams' performance?
Yeah, I think going forward, after Dallo is our second best attacking fullback. Like, to be honest, with Ethan, with Williams, with Dalla, I feel like Young can come play for Kaizer Chiefs, honestly, because we really don't need him. But yeah, I think
Oh shit!
good talent.
Shots fired in the booth.
I thought it's only the truth.
And we move to the most dreadful part. Matic.
Yeah. Yo, can I give this guy a negative rating, fam? Fuck. Dude, this guy, I can't believe how bad he is. It is unbelievable.
A 5 means he's 1 rating away from Ashley Young. No, I'm giving him a 4. I'm sorry. He was the worst player on the team.
Can get that pin, fam. That was a 2 out of 10. This guy can get lost, fam. Jesus Christ. This guy, it's like we're playing with one man shot. He can't hold the ball. He can't put a pass. He can't go forward. This guy, when Martin played a 1-2 with Matic and he thought Matic was going to get on the end of that, I was just like, fam, are you okay? Are you all right upstairs? No.
Okay. Oh my god. That's hilarious. What are you going with, mate? Oh my god, my facial muscles are stretched from that laugh. What are you going with, Rita?
Yeah, he was. Wow. He's special, isn't he?
I feel a 3 coming. I feel a 3 coming.
I feel like the second half wasn't as bad as the first half. But
No, but you see, this comes back to that old thing again. The team played better in the second half, so obviously, Matic is like obviously.
I think I'll give him a 3.
So 4, 3, and 2 for Matic. You know, I feel like the 2 came out of a place of anger, and you know.
Dude, this guy's lucky I gave him a 2. Dude, if I could give him -10, I'd give it to him.
Yeah, he's just got to Tottenham, honestly. He's got to join.
An opinion. Anyways, let's move on to Ghana before Matic gets any more stick. What did you guys think of Ghana?
Yeah, I like the kid. You know, he was playing a bit deep, you know, but he didn't really do much. So I'd say 6
Yeah,
average.
I didn't see much. I actually forgot he was in the team.
To be honest,
I'd say 6 average.
So would you?
I'm not sure, hey.
I'm on the fence about it, well, mate. Don't worry.
I think I'll give him a 5 because I don't think he had a bad performance, but I didn't really notice him in the game.
He didn't have an impact, and like you know,
I didn't see what he did, to be honest.
Yeah, to have a midfielder not have an impact is a bit worrying. You know, usually if a player has an average performance, I'd give them a 6, but because games are won and lost in the midfield, I feel like midfielders come under extra scrutiny. Like, you've got to protect the ball, you've got to create chances, you've got to make sure your ball retention is on fleek, you've got to win balls in the middle of the park. I didn't see Ghana do any of that. I didn't even see him going forward. I didn't see him defensively. Like, I didn't even know where Ghana was, you know, like, he slipped my mind. I thought he wasn't on the pitch from time to time. So I think I do agree with the 5. I think it is a bit harsh because of our young years, but you've got to be consistent with your ratings.
Yeah, true.
This next one's going to be interesting. What do you guys think of Mata? Because before we give these ratings, I have to say that his second half performance, in my opinion at least, was levels above how the team played. I think Mata, much like most of the attacking players, was just a victim of a horrible team in the first half, barring that chance he missed. Like, he should have been better.
You know, to be fair to Mata, I mean, he did put away the pen. You know, that doesn't go with age. As old as you get, I'm sure you can put in a pen. You know, he has a cross on him. You know, this thing is very creative mind still, you know. He's
Brazilian spice.
He's not horrible, you know. He's not like a Matic or a Young, to go back to them. But like, you know, I'm gonna give Mata a 7.
I agree with the 7. What you giving him, Rita?
I feel like he doesn't suit counter-attacking football. Like, he's slow. He's really slow. So when we tried playing on the counter in the first half, like, it just wasn't working. With position, you could see his football intelligence because he'd make those runs, he can pick a pass. So he did improve, but I don't think I can say he had a good game. So I'll give him, I don't know, 6.5 or 6.
That's interesting. I feel like he was involved in most of our goals.
Yeah, he got a goal and an assist.
Yeah, you got a goal and an assist. I can't give someone a 6 for getting a goal and an assist. It's impossible. But hey, man, you know, we're not gonna agree on everything. That's the whole point of fan opinion. I don't know if we go on to the left or the right. I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's start with Andreas Pereira in the front 3. What'd you guys make of him?
Yeah, you know, Moloto brought up, I think it was Moloto who brought it up to the point, or you Marcus, I'm not sure. But, you know, beside those two creative moments of brilliance, you know, first half was bad, very bad. And then second half became a bit more alive. But, you know, I think those 2 moments of brilliance deserve, you know, just a 7 by itself.
Yeah, and the only reason I agree with that, again, is because he's an attacking player. You know, if he was in the midfield, like he usually is, I think I would have given him like a 5 or a 4. But he's not in the midfield. It's not his job to retain the ball. It's his job to be creative and make something happen for the team. And he did do that when he was fed the ball. Not all the time, obviously, because he's a player.
I'm telling you, man turned into Ronaldinho there for like 3 seconds.
Yeah, dude, the skill was not normal, bro. That turn, oh my god, that flick.
I don't know, I don't know how he did that.
You know that attack that fell to nothing because I'm not sure if Mata was offside or if nobody received the ball that he passed across or what happened. But it was basically like a drag back. He dragged it with his right, flicked it with his left. And
Even the
Mata
one
was
way-
making the.
Even the one we set up that Ashley Young goal with the first three, like Matic, Mata, and Young all worked out because of that moment of brilliance. They were like, what just happened?
Yeah, he flicked it behind and that turn. Oh my god! So I think he deserves a 7 because of that. Like that's his job as an attacking player. And I think we have to think about the fact that if Martial had scored that goal, people would be saying Martial had a great game.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So, ready to behave with your rating. Behave.
I feel like you can really tell I'm gonna come with doom and gloom.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. Like a standard
No.
5 is coming.
It's your opinion, man. It's your
You
opinion.
know what? I felt like the two passes were amazing. The assist and the almost assist were brilliant. But bar that, he was quite horrible in my opinion. Like I just didn't see what he was doing. I feel like he's worse on the left than he is on the right. So I'm gonna give him a 6. I'm sorry. James.
Fair enough. Yeah, you don't have to apologize, man. It's your opinion. Speak with your chest. Be confident. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. I think with Pereira, it just comes down to your opinion, really, and how you feel. Because the truth is, besides those two moments of individual brilliance and creativity, and just, he sucked. He sucked ass. Like I don't even know if there's a word to describe how bad he was. Because there was even a part in the match where he was running forward, right? And then he started doing step overs, and then he turned left, and then instead of passing, he pulled it back, he turned right. And then instead of passing, he pulled it back left again, and he passed it sideways. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Make up your mind, mate. Like, come on. You're wasting valuable time on the counter. Like he was lollygagging with the ball.
Yeah.
And then there was the other time where on the wing he had a chance to cross, and he went for 2 fake shots and then ran. Oh, yeah, he went for 2 fake shots. And then on the third attempt, he lost the ball. And I was like, my guy, this guy crossed the ball. But anyways, moving on to, it's Martial first. Martial was playing in the middle. What do you guys think of Martial?
Guys, I'm one of the first guys. I'm like a Martial FC guy, Man, he held up the ball. I mean, he had 1 shot in the second half. I mean, I didn't want him to play today, but midfield didn't give him much. Like, I'll give him a 6 out of 10. It wasn't his best game, but I didn't expect much from him, and I wouldn't have played him today anyways.
Yeah. Reto, what are you giving him?
Yeah, I feel like he wasn't horrible, but he wasn't as motivated as most of the games this season. Hold up, always brilliant, so he tried here and there, but besides that, he didn't really do much. And I feel like, yes, a lot of that is down to the midfield being so poor. But I feel I can't give Pereira a 6, and then now I want to give this guy a 7 just because of hold up, which wasn't even that amazing. I feel like 6.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna add this in, even though I don't really need to. But if you're a Martial FC guy, and I'm about to offend you, I'm sorry, but attacking players don't get sympathy because of a bad midfield. Like, if a whole team's horrible, a whole team's horrible. Yes, you can pick out one guy who's the reason for that, which is probably Matic and Ghana in that first half. More so Matic, because he's the more experienced player, and we expect that from him. Well, we don't really expect it from him, but quotation marks, Ole expected from him as an experienced player. I don't think we can expect too much from Ghana because he's young and everything. But for me, the fact that the midfield was trash does not make the front three exempt from scrutiny or being criticized, because like it's the same old argument with Lukaku when he was at Everton and how disconnected he looked from the rest of the team when they were playing badly. And it's like people were like, Lukaku was bad then. Why don't we use the same argument with Martial? Because we like him. It's the same. It's pretty much the same thing. Yes, it's not Martial's fault, but still played. He just wasn't there. Being honest. So I'll give him a 6 as well.
And to be honest, I feel like he needs to improve his finishing if he's going to be Manchester United's number 1 striker. Because like there was a chance where it was pretty much a tap in, not a tap in,
but it was a bit full out. But yeah.
Yeah, for our number one striker, he should be scoring that. And
Yeah.
against Aston Villa as well, there were some chances that your number one striker should be scoring. So he needs to improve his finishing.
Exactly. Like I don't want to bring this into this. Is what I'm about to say is like two different levels. But if that happened in my indoor team, I would be going ham at my striker for not scoring that.
Yeah, okay, fair
Shout out
enough.
to my indoor team.
I don't know how I feel about that. Fair enough. No comment, I suppose. Moving on to the right, to Greenwood. Would you guys make
Greenwood. Boy, this guy. Oh my word. This guy is a Robin van Persie, Ruud van Nistelrooy in one. God damn.
Did you move to Greenwood FC in the last few minutes? Did you like get a transfer from Marshall FC? Sorry.
Marshall, my boy. But you know, this like Marshall is like he was my eldest son, and now he's trained. Now I don't need to worry. Now there's a new kid on the blocks. We're training him. That youth prospect. And
buddy,
he's
get to the play.
This guy. I don't want to give him a 10 because he didn't get the hat trick, but I'm gonna give him a 9. Hey.
Greenwood and Matic weren't even on the same planet.
Yeah, hey, Matic Robert to gents. Matic is just getting stick. Even when he's not even he's not even close to Greenwood on the pitch. Like his positions could not be more unrelated.
It's like you'll watch Greenwood run up forward and then you see the slow truck in the back. You're like, what's going on? And you see and Matic has that weird running style where he's there with his. I'm like, oh my god, look at this guy. But anyways, back to Greenwood. 9 out of 10. This guy is, dude. Yeah, this guy's he's something else.
Yeah, he did play amazingly, and he created the penalty, which Mata went on to score.
Yeah, and I wanted him to take the penalty. I really wanted him to take the penalty.
Yeah,
If he got the hat trick, it was going to be a 10 out of 10, but I'm going to give him a 9.
You know how it is with experienced players.
Yeah.
Rita, bro.
Yeah, I said Greenwood was a better finisher than Martial is. Like, everything was on point. The skill, the finishing, the penalty, like, he was just amazing. 9 out of 10.
And that's the thing, Ali said in one of the press conferences that Greenwood is the best natural finisher.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that. We really are seeing that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well, this kind of spoils the next part of the show because the next part was to pick the man of the match, but clearly, it's going to be Greenwood.
No contest.
Mason Greenwood.
No contest.
Matic.
I like.
That's that. It's not even that.
I'll give Greenwood because I think he was brilliant.
So you got what did you say? You couldn't give Greenwood?
I said I'll give him a 9 as well because I think he was brilliant. I was initially going to give him an 8, but there's no reason not to give him a 9. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
He didn't really put a foot. It's not his fault that the first half was playing.
It's all, and it's all about opinion. But if any of you United fans there at home, or even non-United fans, think that anyone else was man of the match, I think you should go get a checkup. You know what I'm saying? I know it's all about opinion, but you need a checkup with that. If Mason Greenwood wasn't your man of the match, there's something wrong with you. Smash a like on the video for Mason Greenwood fans.
Okay, buddy. We got Greenwood FC. Sorry, Ray, what was that?
I have a question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think Greenwood should be starting over Daniel James?
Yeah. No,
And if,
I don't know. We need a right wing.
why not?
Look,
there's something I like about Dan James. And that is just his pace. And I've been personally as a United fan, I've always wanted a player who can go on the edge of the box and finally put a cross. And then Dan James does that every week. He goes there, he wins the ball, he goes past the players, and he whips in a ball.
Yeah, I think they're both raw talents, but I think Dan James is a bit more polished. Number 1, number 2. I feel like Greenwood, firstly, is more of a striker than he is a winger.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't want to convert Greenwood. Sorry to cut you off. I don't want to convert Greenwood from a centre forward to a right wing.
Yeah, and number 3, most important of all, Greenwood is young, kids. Just because he's playing well now, it doesn't mean he's going to play well.
He's younger than all of us 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's true. That's true. But then one can say Mbappe same age at Monaco.
Yeah, but anyone who says that, there's always anomalies and there's always exceptions in life. Like, I'm not going to sit here and argue till the cows come home whether or not Mbappe starting at PSG justifies Greenwood starting at Manchester United. Two different clubs, two different situations, and like again, there's anomalies and there's exceptions. Mbappe is on another level, and I wouldn't compare Greenwood to him. But going back to my reasoning, Greenwood is young. He's gonna mess up, and I think if Greenwood does come into the starting 11, I will make this compromise. He should share the role with someone like Dan James. Shouldn't just throw him in. Like, what did Dan James do to not?
Yeah,
Dude. And I feel like Greenwood's a nice backup to Martial as well. That's the thing. Like, if Martial, I feel like Greenwood should just come in.
And I really want United to get a proper right wing. I don't want to be converting nothing here, guys. Sancho is there, guys. You open your pockets and you get him.
That brings up an interesting question. What do you guys think of Dan James, actually? Like, objectively. Don't compare him to Greenwood or anyone in the team currently. Just what do you think of him?
Like I said, I love him. I didn't expect him to be as good. I expected him to be a bench player and then come on and use his mad pace to affect the game later on. But I really love him. That's the player that I dream of. Gets the ball super fast. He needs to work on getting past players more because he's not so good. The only way he gets past players, he bangs it past him and then beats him for pace. He doesn't have the trickery or skill. So I hope he does develop that. But one thing with Dan James is on that wing, he will put the ball in and he will continue putting it there and he'll run for 90 minutes for that badge.
Yeah. I compared it to Greenwood, but and it sounds weird because I'm the one who brought up the question, but he's actually my favorite player. I think he's amazing. I think the pace is such a threat, especially in the Premier League. Like, every defender fears the pace. So if you have him in your team, if he just stays on the wing, like, he doesn't have to do too much, just stays there, and then one ball, he can make things happen. So I think he has a lot of growing to do, but I think he can be a brilliant player.
Yeah, I agree. I think Dan James, he's a brilliant raw talent.
He's looking like a steal 15 more. That's what it is.
Yeah, he is. He's a brilliant signing for his price. But like, my only problem with Dan James, and again, Johnny did bring this up, so I don't want to touch on it too much, is when we play against teams that do sit back and teams that don't allow him to get into those pockets and use his pace, he does seem to struggle a bit. And I wouldn't give him stick for that because like, yes, I understand that we want Dan James because he's playing for Manchester United to be better and to grow. We all want that for him. No shit. But I think because Dan James is so young, and I think because he's such a raw talent, we need to be patient with him and let him grow, number one. And number two, I feel like his pace makes him that good, Like, I feel like he just offers different. I feel like Rashford can get past players. Martial is clinical to a certain extent when he's at his best. And then Dan is the pace. So like, I feel like we've got a front three that has three different things to offer. And
if you merge those four, you get probably the best player in the world. If you have finishing of Greenwood, pace of James, getting past players like, okay, maybe Rashford could work on it more, and then hold up play like Martial. Woo! That player is a dream. But I've seen Mbappe miss some sets out here. Yeah. That disrespect him.
But that's another thing I was going to say. Like, Martial hasn't really played much this season. So when people take shots at Martial for missing simple opportunities, I'm like, yeah, but he's human. He's going to miss simple opportunities, especially when he's been out pretty much for a huge chunk of the season. Like, I personally like even the miss today. Like, yeah, Martial should be scoring that, but I'm not worried. Like, I don't think Martial's going to miss that if he gets that chance 2 or 3 times again in the future. I think it's just one of the things. Like, it's been a quiet game. Suddenly he got an opportunity. Suddenly he's in the mix. And he just missed. That's how it happens sometimes. And I wouldn't make too much of it, considering that we did win 4-0. So it's just one of them things. Like, if Greenwood missed that chance, we would have been like, oh, but it's okay because he scored 2 goals, But yeah, you were going to say?
Though I actually think James better on the left, I feel like he's decent on the right, but he's been forced to play there because Rashford is so good on the left. But I feel like you get more out of him on the left because it's not just the pace anymore. He has a little bit of trickery and he can score goals from that side. So I feel like it's a shame, But yeah, he's better on the left.
I've had this so much with United players, eh? Like it seems like everyone is just playing out of position because of circumstances. And I think as United fans we need to remember that before we take shots at certain players. Like Pereira is another player, controversial example, unpopular opinion. But Pereira is another player who's an example of that. He's come under heavy scrutiny when he okay, I agree. He shouldn't be in a United shirt. He should probably go play in the Championship for a year and develop as a player and grow, blah, 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 blah. But I think as a player, you can't blame him for having such poor performances when he was playing out of position in those difficult situations because of how short-staffed our midfield actually is or was in the periods that he was playing in. Like, I think we can all agree that Pereira is not a centre midfielder. So if he plays there, we shouldn't give him stick. Like, we shouldn't hold him to the same standard as McTominay and Fred because he's not meant to play there. The only reason he's playing there is because the coach, who isn't the best tactically, by the way, is the one who's playing him there. It's the same as the James thing. Like, James is not playing on his natural side, and we've got to accept that. But we can't, take shots at a player, Although Herrera has been really, really, really poor. Like, we understand you playing out of position, but you're a footballer, mate. Something's inexcusable.
Yeah, and before. Yeah, I was going to say before.
Yeah, sorry for cutting you off.
I was going to say just before we end the podcast, I just wanted, because we didn't actually give Ollie a rating for today. What did you give Ollie?
Actually, that's a good point. I wasn't planning on talking about Ollie, but that's a good point. It's hard. It's hard to give Ollie anything because I feel like the goals were down to...
What I am going to give him, though, is, the things that were good. You got the win, so you got the dub. You played a team that I probably would have played a similar, maybe not Matic in them. So you did that. You continued the form. You made early subs. You really made early subs, which I've been crying for long. I'm just going to give Ollie a 7 today.
Look, he got the result. That's all that matters, really. He got the result. Like, he won. We can sit here and argue till the cows come home whether or not United were good. But he got the result, He's got 3 now. So we gotta say fair play to him there, The team got the result. Rick, what do you think of Ollie's performance today?
I'll give him a 6. I think it was an average performance. I feel like Ollie needs to learn. I don't get how you repeat the same thing over and over again.
Okay, playing Matic.
If he's gonna sit back, you can't counter. It doesn't work. So I feel like he needs to be courageous and stay on the front foot. And I feel like it's easier to grow into a counter from having position than the other way around. Yeah. So you can't be sitting back against Villa. It doesn't make sense. If you have average football knowledge, it makes no sense.
Yeah, look, I think we have to be careful when giving people ratings because we can't let their past performances influence the rating we give them based on the last 90 minutes. Yes, the first half was poor, but there's a reason why football is a 90-minute game. There's a reason why there's 2 halves in football. There's a reason why the game is that long. So I can't give him a 6. I have to give him a 7. I was even bordering towards an 8, but because of how bad the first half is, I can't give him an 8. So I think a 7 because he's doing what we as United fans have been asking him to do for a long time. Maybe not in terms of the football, the quality of football and the tactics, but he's getting the results. And yes, I know it's only 1 result after City. I know that, but it's a good start. It's the first time we've won 3 games in a row in a while now, in a long while. And that's all we've been asking for. We've been asking for you to just show us that you can do this a bit more consistently, and this is the start. So, for this specific match, I think a 7 is in order because as I think I might contradict myself here and say as much as it was individual brilliance, he must have said something at halftime because clearly we held the ball.
No, I get that. But what do you think would have happened in that first half if we were playing Wolves?
Yeah, you see, now that's not fair. What if Laporte wasn't injured? What if Fernandinho played?
Okay, yes, I hear you. But I feel like it's a recurring problem. So that's why we're comparing him to the past. because we're saying, yes, you improved in the second half, and that's amazing. But, dude, you keep doing this. You keep doing this over and over again, so you're not learning. So I'm not going to give you a 7 because you're not learning.
The irony is that usually our first half is great, and then we slack off a lot in the second half. Today we switched it around.
Yeah, I really think it's unfair to use his past to compare him because, I don't think he made too many mistakes. Besides the way we played in the first half, I don't think he made any. I don't think Ole specifically put a serious foot wrong. The only thing I think that could have cost us that game and did cost us the first half was playing Matic because he was freaking wearing cement boots that were engraved into the ground. But I wouldn't completely blame Ole for that first half. I think it comes down to just poor performance from the players. You have to give the players some stick as well. And I get that Ole is not perfect, but we did win 4-0. We did win 4-0. You can't. It's hard to bash someone when they just won 4-0. If we nicked that game like a 1-0 towards the end because of a penalty, then I would have been like, yeah, maybe Ole does.
I feel yeah.
I feel like the fact that he rectified his mistake in the first half and the fact that we played in the second half, for me, shows something positive. And yes, in the long term, it doesn't really mean much. But for that match, it means a lot because that was the difference between us winning and losing. It was just going on the front foot and not sitting back and passing it between our back four, So I don't know.
Okay, no, fair. That's a fair point. I'll bring it down to that match and I'll say, yeah, he deserves a 7. But in terms of in general, yeah, he needs to buckle up, seriously.
Yeah, obviously, we know that first half wasn't good enough, for United's performance, but we've got to treat ratings as fairly as possible. It's difficult. It's difficult. I don't know.
Because the thing is, Everton won't attack us. Like we saw in the last game where they won, they're gonna sit back on Sunday, and if we try to play counter-attack against them, we might find ourselves losing, and we're back to square one.
Yeah, but let's see. We'll see what happens on Sunday, and we'll do our preview.
Yeah. So someone could make the argument that, AZ Alkmaar as well could have actually just taken their chances. We were lucky that they didn't actually score of some of those chances. So I think if AZ Alkmaar scored in the first half, we'd be looking at a very different result. But anyways, gents, I think that wraps it up. I think we've covered everything. Please do leave a like on the video. Please do consider subscribing if you enjoyed it. It's been an amazing podcast. It's been a long podcast, but ultimately positive result. And really, we want to know what your thoughts are. If you have anything to comment on the video, any opinions that you guys want to share, feel free to get down in the comments below. Follow us on our socials as well, and we will try our best to engage, man. When we will appreciate the support. But thank you.
And also just thanks to all the guys who watched the previous video. Much love.
Much love. But I think that about wraps it up, gents. Any last words?
Yeah. See you on Sunday. Well, before Sunday, I'll preview.
Feel free to express your opinion on the players, especially Matic.
All right. Well, we're done.